Hi guys, my name is Haley Netherton. I'm a venture associate here at Capital Factory, and I want to welcome you to the 2017 1776 Challenge Cup out of Austin, Texas. We have a lot of great companies that are going to pitch for you tonight, so definitely get excited. And to kick things off, I want to introduce our managing director here at Capital Factory, Gordon Doherty.
Hi guys. Welcome. As Haley said, my name is Gordon Doherty. I'm one of the managing directors here at Capital Factory. I see a lot of familiar faces, so welcome back. Many of you come here for all kinds of events throughout the year, and you probably think of Capital Factory as the center of gravity for entrepreneurship in Austin. In fact, we use that term quite a bit for the last few years. We host 1,000 events or more here at Capital Factory. We have more than 1,000 members that have a work membership here, so we've done a lot to create kind of this size and scale here. And over the years, what we found is that Capital Factory wasn't just Austin. Increasingly, it was kind of becoming Texas. We had startups apply and join our accelerator from Dallas, from Houston, from San Antonio, investors from those other markets investing in Austin and in Austin companies. And you might have seen earlier this week some announcements about Capital Factory in Dallas. So this is us kind of embracing what was already starting to happen. And so that's pretty significant. If you think about Texas, we've got 4 of the 11 largest metropolitan areas in the country. If Texas were its own country, we'd be number 10 economy in the world. So that's pretty significant. Also to mention the synergies due to the differences that are Dallas, Austin, Houston, and San Antonio. That becomes really, really powerful and something that Capital Factory wanted to embrace. So you might have read a blog post by Josh Baer on Medium titled The Texas Manifesto. It was put out Tuesday morning. If you hadn't read it and you want to get a little bit more insights into what I'm talking about, you're going to want to read that article. But it starts with Dallas, and we partnered with the Dallas Entrepreneur Center, or the DEC, and we'll be operating Capital Factory out of the DEC. So it's a nice partnership. And just like we've done here in the Austin community, try to be as collaborative as possible. You know, rising tides kind of helps all of us, and this is the Texas spirit anyway. This is Capital Factory having a presence and being a big partner in Dallas. But keep your eye on that. There's more to come related to Dallas and related to Texas. But it actually doesn't stop there. More than a year ago, we partnered with 1776 to extend our reach and range global. We were the first to partner with 1776 for their union platform, and we use union in Capital Factory to support our mentoring office hours, conference room scheduling, and other things that 1776 already had. But what was really cool about it, our startups get to do virtual mentoring with mentors around the world. In fact, literally just 30 minutes ago, I was talking to one of our entrepreneurs who said that in the last couple of weeks, he had a mentoring session with an advisor in Abu Dhabi. No, Dubai. Sorry, Dubai. That's pretty significant. And it's also pretty cool. And so this is what 1776 brings to the table. They've got more than 30 partners and programs around the world that are on that union platform. So they're really creating a global platform that can connect entrepreneurs to entrepreneurs, entrepreneurs to mentors, entrepreneurs to investors, and vice versa. So that's pretty significant. I want to make sure those of you that are here in the audience understand the significance of what 1776 is bringing to the table, not just through this kind of a competition, but what they're doing with that union platform. Okay. What we've got going on today is we are a regional site for this Global Challenge Cup competition. And I had an opportunity to travel to the global finals 2 years ago, and I'm telling you, it is significant. This is happening in 75 locations around the world, and the winners show up. 2 years ago it was in D.C. This year it'll be in November in New York City. And there are some badass entrepreneurs with badass ideas getting on stage. So for those of you that are sitting here competing, I mean, you're going to be up against some really, really strong entrepreneurs, strong competition. It's really impressive. But the winner of this competition, you're going to hear 2-minute pitches with 1 minute of Q&A. We'll select one winner who will have an opportunity to go to that global competition in New York City in mid-November. And it's not just competing for some of the $100,000 in prizes that are given away during that global competition. It's actually just as much meeting these global mentors, these partners of 1776, and the others that are part of their network is some of the greatest value that the winner from this competition will receive when they go out there. So that's what's going on today. We're really excited to have you guys here. We got 16, I believe, that are going to be pitching, so get ready to hear 16 2-minute pitches. Okay, Hayden, you know who's next.
All right, so the first company we have pitching tonight is going to be Ryan Austin with Synapse.
Thanks. Now, training your workforce can significantly increase productivity, revenue, and profits. The problem is that most organizations either don't have the resources, the time, or the know-how to build custom training effectively. Traditionally, it took highly specialized people like instructional designers or corporate learning and development teams, with skills that guys like you and I just don't have. But that's what we're changing. My name's Ryan Austin. I'm the founder and CEO of Synapse, and we make it easy for anyone to build custom training faster with less resources. Using our software, companies can transform existing content from within inside their companies and content from across the web into custom training for their employees, customers, and partners. And it's so easy to use that we like to say internally that if you can write an email, you can now build custom training with our software. So far, we've secured $260,000 and generated $260,000 from companies like ExxonMobil and smaller companies like Envoy Mortgage and even Capital Factory. And our pipeline's starting to grow quickly now. The corporate training industry is a $306 billion market opportunity. And for us, with just 12 million small to medium-sized enterprises across the world who can use our software, we have a total available market of $37 billion. In 2016, we raised $750,000 to build our product and our team. Now we're raising $850,000 to scale our sales and marketing efforts. I'm building Synapse with 8 other great people, and all we're trying to do is help organizations unlock human potential with simple software that anyone can use. Thank you. I'm back.
Woo! Judges.
How do you make it? What's the revenue streams?
Yeah, so we have simple pricing, and we have team package and an enterprise package. In the team bucket, we have starting, growing, and scaling. The starting package is for teams up to 30 people, $50 a month, unlimited usage, so $600 a year. From 30 to 100 people, it's about $3,000 a year, and so $250 a month. And from 100 to 300 people, it's $500 a month, so $6,000 a year. And then enterprise is custom package, custom pricing.
15 seconds.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ryan. Awesome. All right, next up we have Yusuf with Easy Expunctions.
According to the Department of Justice, over 80 million American adults have an arrest record. Arrest records harm an individual's reputation, access to employment, and even housing. Because of the relatively high cost of hiring an attorney, nearly 99% of individuals who qualify for an expunction or non-disclosure do not get this done. My name is Yusuf Qasim. I'm the founder and CEO of Easy Expunctions, and after going through this process for myself, attending law school and eventually becoming an attorney, I wanted to provide this to others. At EE, we have the world's first and only person-to-court software platform that allows individuals to determine if they qualify to have their arrest record erased and to generate the pertinent legal documents. We even take it one step further and notify background check companies that your arrest record has been cleared. 80 million Americans have an arrest record, Approximately 50% of these individuals qualify for an expunction or non-disclosure. Attorneys are currently only servicing 1% of the available market. At EE, we have gained market dominance in our first year of sales by impacting more expunctions and non-disclosures than any law firm in the state. We've acquired the data and created the consumer-facing web applications for North Carolina, Indiana, Colorado, Washington, and are looking to scale nationwide. Although expunctions are huge, this is just the beginning. We're compiling the most comprehensive criminal justice history information database in the country and look to create products for consumers, attorneys, and government entities to make navigating our criminal justice process more easy.
Great job. Any questions from the judges?
Do you have to establish a relationship or a partnership with counties and cities and states uniquely, or is there some way that you do this once and it works all across the country?
So this is very much jurisdiction by jurisdiction. In Texas, we've had to go county by county. There's 254 counties. Although we don't require a partnership with the county or city level, we do have a partnership with the city of San Antonio and Bexar County to deliver these to their residents.
What does that look like as you grow your bigger in multiple of those states?
So we've scaled our team right now to 20 employees operating out of San Antonio. We were founded here in Austin. We essentially need to acquire the data, write the algorithms for the law in that jurisdiction, and then we have a web application that a consumer can log into, get a free background check for $20, determine their eligibility, and then for a quarter of the cost of an attorney, generate pertinent legal documents.
Awesome. Thanks. That was a great job.
Thank you.
Awesome. Is there a representative from Cloud9 here? Yep. You ready? You're on up.
Thank you very much. I have a question for the audience. If you have a neighbor who is a schizophrenic with active hallucinations, would you allow that neighbor to get on a bus full of people to travel across town and make a doctor's appointment on time? I see some of you thinking hard about this, but I think most of us would probably say no. But this happens every day in the United States. And it's no wonder that there's a 30% no-show rate occurring in the Medicaid and uninsured population across the U.S. at community clinics. The problem is no continuous connection from the doctors to the patients the minute they leave the walls of the clinic. What does that mean? No alerts, no ability to intervene with them, and no ability to see if they're regular on their visits and their meds. Cloud9 is mobile behavioral health, and through Talk, Test, and Track, we allow a continuous connection with the entirety of the care team so that these patients can be managed. To give an example of the magnitude of this problem, in San Antonio, $1.1 billion was spent on 10,000 frequent flyer patients there last year. They're spending $34 million to fix this problem, and this is a nationwide problem that extends across all the 50 major metro areas. Traction-wise, we just finished a first project with a client. We have a 95% report card from our patients and our providers. We're on track for $1.5 million in sales in the coming 12 months, and our deals are about $500,000 each on 3-year contracts. We are going beyond, though, the world of mental health into behavioral health, because there's a 3 to 5x multiplier across physical diseases when behavioral health is not managed. There is no health without mental health. And today we are announcing an open seed round of $1.5 million. We hope you'll join our mission. Thank you very much.
Judges, any questions?
So the 95% report card, is that coming from like patients with mental health issues?
Yes, and they have everything in the world to complain about, as you can imagine, with severe mental illness. So that 95% is a 95% score for overall experience, and 95% is the level they would recommend it to a friend. The providers have similar ratings.
regulatory issues, state by state, for
Very much in our favor because everyone needs to become more efficient, whether or not Medicaid changes. This has to be solved because the excess capacity means these organizations would otherwise be underwater, so we're here to solve it for them.
Got about 20 seconds. Any last questions?
legally you're allowed to do business in all the states or not all of them yet?
Absolutely. The majority of states, and I'm happy to announce that in Texas, we recently approved first virtual visits are billable. So actually, all of these are billable at face-to-face rates in Texas.
Great job, Jonathan.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Alrighty, giving the judges a minute to finish writing their notes. And then next up, we're going to have Vina with Neurological Rehabilitation VR.
More than 700,000 people in the United States suffer from a stroke every year, leading to disability. Joe is one of them. He is paralyzed in his hands and can't really move his fingers. But somehow, when he scratches his head at a certain point, his fingers in the other hand open up. Crazy, right? And I'm not making this up. I'm Veena, and I'm the president at Neuro Rehab VR. We create virtual reality apps for rehabilitation. We use the concept of neuroplasticity, that is, your brain has the ability to fully recover from a stroke. A healthy part of your brain can take the functionality of the damaged areas, but it needs extensive therapy, cognitive training, and repetitive exercise to create those neural pathways. So Joe wants to get better, but physical therapy is expensive. The clinics are far, so transportation is a problem. Most of the time he's really depressed to get out of the bed, and when he does get to the clinic, the therapy is boring and it lasts about an hour. That is why we create fun, engaging, customized apps for our patients. We are housed inside the largest robotic neuro clinic in the United States. That means our patients are right across the hall. We have physical therapists and a neurosurgeon with more than 10 years of experience on our team. Our patients test our app every day during our development stages, and we iterate them according to the feedback we receive. And sometimes they tell us what they want and we create it. Our job is to make therapy more efficient, bring down the cost, and get it within everybody who really needs it. We have 3 clinics in the US who have already contacted us to try our apps, and universities who want to collaborate with us on research work. And we are starting our own clinical trials from next month so we can quantitatively and with real data show that our apps are making a difference. So at Neuro Rehab VR, we are disrupting the way physical therapy is done using cutting-edge technology like virtual reality and neuroscience so that Joe and millions of others can have a better life.
Great job. Questions from the judges?
You said 3 clinics?
Yeah, we're just a final those.
Yeah, that's fine. Like, how many people do you think you'll be able to be actually working?
So in the clinic that we am in at right now, we have 120 patients, 30 to 40 patients that come in every day, and then we have to, some of them have seizures so they can't use it, and I have about 40 to 45 patients have already tried all our apps, and many times.
Do you have evidence of efficacy on this yet?
Yes.
You said you're starting some
Right.
trials, but
But yeah, I can tell, yeah, so we have lower body therapy and on a shoulder therapy app. And the shoulder therapy app, when people are using it, using VR, their sons and daughters have said that they extended their hand more than they usually would. Because, you know, they're playing a game, they're immersed, and they're doing more they can really, you know, they think they can.
What's the thousand number of patients that
Oh, everybody. Mostly post-stroke. I don't really have a number, but you see a lot of patients who want to get better. So anybody who wants to get better and the physical therapy has to write off on it that they can use it. And since it's virtual reality apps, you can deploy it all over the world.
Great job, Vina. Alrighty, next up we have Sam with Big Wheelbarrow.
Farm to table is the #1 consumer trend in food today. Yet the small farms that you would think are supplying that movement are actually dying at a faster rate now than ever before. A big reason for this is the wholesale industry that supplies over 90% of the food that we consume still using a model that was designed in the 1960s. This model is based on economies of scale to make it inefficient for them to work with all but the largest farms. That leaves over 1 million U.S. farms virtually out of the picture, and us as end consumers dependent on food trucked in from hundreds of miles away and sometimes further. Big Wheelbarrow is changing that. As an online marketplace for restaurants, we began to develop an AI chatbot whose purpose was to communicate with our farmers so that we could find out what they had in the field and when it was going to be available. For us, it was a force multiplier. I was able to work with more small farms to fill our orders without spending more time on the phones. That means I was no longer dependent on large farms to meet demand efficiently. And that solved a big problem for us, but we realized that was also solving a big problem for an $875 billion industry. For that reason, we're making Big Wheelbarrow available via subscription to wholesale buyers, so they can now work with local farms to sell the local products that their markets are demanding. We just launched our MVP, and we're already working with some great organizations. This is your chance to help us disrupt an industry that's stuck in the 1960s. We're Big Wheelbarrow, and we're unleashing the power of millions of small farms to help food businesses bring better food to you and your family. Thank you.
Judges?
So how do you keep out competition? It sounds like a market-making tool. So how do you protect yourself?
Absolutely. I think there's two main components there. On the buyer side, right, having relationships and being able to kind of provide the long-term data that helps them make better decisions is kind of the evolution of that bot. And on the grower side, having that tool that helps them access the wholesale market brings us a little bit of loyalty.
Customers either on the restaurant side or the grower side, or both?
Well, our legacy marketplace, as you remember seeing, we grew up to over 20 farms, and we were servicing 19 restaurants in the Austin area. But now that we've kind of focused more on the wholesale side, we're working with launching 2 pilots in Austin this month.
Awesome. Thanks, Sam. All right, next up we have Incubator.
So kids naturally love to learn, but they don't stay that way for very long. As early as elementary school, it's very common to see kids dread learning topics like math, science, and English because it's no longer fun, and the one-size-fits-all educational approach today does very little to help them learn. And by high school, 2 out of every 3 kids are chronically disengaged and unmotivated in learning. And that is a huge problem, my friends, because motivation and engagement are the #1 factors tied to academic success. At Coda, our mission is to help kids realize their potential, and our solution is a 3D online educational game called Coda Quest that uses an adaptive learning algorithm to deliver online courses to kids of any type. It helps motivate kids to learn by making the experience fun, as well as making it personalized. And we also have a parent app that gives parents and teachers insight on how their kids are doing. It's kind of like World of Warcraft and Khan Academy falling in love and making a baby. We are that baby. And the market is huge. The K-12 e-learning industry is a $60 billion opportunity with a 30% growth rate year over year. And we plan to grow by converting our users to being paid subscribers and offering in-game purchasable items and premium courses. We're currently testing with homeschool groups and classrooms, and the results have been phenomenal. Players average about 40 questions per hour, and that is at a pace identical to taking a standardized test. But they're having fun. So, being able to collect the amount of data at this pace helps us to scale our solutions so that we can help grow and identify each individual student's academic strengths. So please join us and let's make an impact on education by literally changing the game. Thank you.
Thanks, Clarence. Judges?
Which games have you created, which subjects, how far along are you? I heard you're about to test, but what is it you have ready so far?
So we are testing, it's kind of like World of Warcraft, so it's a huge game. It has like over 8 different mini games, and it's like, there's all these cool stuff that kids like. And then we can pretty much plug in any type of content and online courses into our platform. So you want to teach math, as long as we have it, or if a teacher wants to put it in, they can do it. So we're just gamifying learning materials in a game-based environment. So instead of doing it like Khan Academy, where they just get points for answering questions, you get to cast spells, you get to like defeat monsters, and you use the points to actually level up. So I can play a math class with the same character that I have. I can play English, coding, science, anything I want.
So solve for X and you open up the magic gate, that kind of thing?
Kind of, but it's more like solve for X, and then you get to like summon a magical basketball player that dunks on your opponent and kills him, something like that.
Awesome. Thanks, Clarence. Alrighty, next up we have Irene with Sense Tech.
Imagine a world where we can lessen the 3.8 million sports-related concussions every single year. Where colleges and universities can know when their students are in physical or psychological danger, curbing the current rate of suicides, which is at about 1,000 suicides per year on U.S. college campuses alone. And some of the 320,000 undiagnosed cardiac deaths that occur in America every single year can be prevented. According to Forbes magazine, the wearable market will account for over $14 billion in spend this year, with competitors ranging from Apple to Fitbit to Kate Spade. The biggest problem in this market is accuracy. The solution is Sense Tech, built on medical accuracy. My partner, Planexta, they have 2 labs, 29 scientists and engineers with resumes ranging from the Mayo Clinic to Microsoft. Winners of 2 CES Innovation Award nominations, with patents pending on multiple technologies. We put the results in the hands of the people that you choose, your doctors, your coaches, even your best friends. We already sold over 1,000 units of our first consumer release, the SenseBand, right here, via crowdfunding, and we've raised enough capital to fulfill over 5,000 orders over the next 6 months. The wearable market itself is projected to reach over $150 billion by 2023 with no changes in players or accuracy. Projections based off of wildly inaccurate devices designed by cell phone fitness and fashion manufacturers of almost no value to insurance or medical providers. The heart of the matter is that SenseTech is built on medical accuracy. We're built to curb some of those cardiac deaths, but we also have consumer applications ranging from sports to productivity and health.
Great job. Thank you. Judges?
So you're selling units, right? And have you partnered with any insurance companies at this point, or with that data?
So that's a plan for the future. We have several products that are actually ready for market. The first one is SenseBand right here, which accurately reads and tracks emotions based off of ECG technology. Next, we have Precise, which we're looking to partner right now with hospitals. It actually reads ECG data in 15 minutes versus the typical 3.5 hours that it currently takes a doctor to do. Medical professionals have an average of 70% accuracy, whereas our cloud-based solution has over a 90% accuracy using Minnesota code.
Great job. Thank you. Awesome. Next up, we have Jeff with Advanced Scanners.
Advanced Scanners is here to eliminate the catastrophic but avoidable side effects of open brain surgery. For a child with epilepsy, surgery begins with the surgeon cutting a hole in their skull so that they can access and treat the brain. Next, the surgeon relies on a surgical navigation system to track their movements within the brain, and that system is dependent on it relies on the patient's MRI. You ready for the problem? When the surgeon cuts a hole in the skull, the pressure changes and it causes the brain to change shape. The static MRI is immediately outdated. The subject of more than 700 papers in the last 20 years, this is referred to as brain shift, and it causes the navigation system to be off by more than a centimeter. Our heroic surgeons try to compensate for this error by reimagining a 3D model of the patient's MRI in their head. Small errors can lead to a lifetime of avoidable disabilities. Our solution is a uniquely capable 3D surface scanner that tracks sub-millimeter changes to the brain during surgery and uses that data to continually update the patient's MRI. No more errors. We are immediately improving our ability to treat the human brain, and we are introducing the accuracy required for artificial intelligence and robotics to realize their potential. We are already observing surgeries at Dell Children's Hospital, and in October they'll be the first hospital to use our scanner in the operating room. We're looking at a $100 million market of surgical centers in the US with a $1.2 billion total addressable market. My co-founder, the inventor, is an optical physicist who has a decade of experience supervising teams of scientists at UT and Sandia National Labs. For the 200,000 people that have brain surgery every year, this is your chance to help them and send Advanced Scanner on to the next round. Thank you.
Great job.
We don't need FDA approval right now, so we have a couple of delivers. We're starting with pediatric epilepsy for a couple of reasons. Right now, we're a scanner; it's a camera, and we don't need FDA approval to go into the operating rooms. So we have a couple of early deliverables for the pediatric epilepsy surgeons. Once we get into morphing the MRI, we'll need to address FDA approval. There are existing mathematical models of the human brain that are already FDA approved. Talking with a few regulatory experts, most of them feel that we're on pretty solid ground relying on predicate devices for 510Ks, but it's possible that we may end up doing something unique that requires FDA approval.
Thanks, Jeff. Alrighty, that is our first. Can we give another round of applause for our first contestant? So at this point, we're going to take a 10-minute break. Feel free to get up, use the restroom, stretch your legs, grab some more food. We're going to let the judges deliberate a little bit, and then we're going to come back with 8 more awesome contestants. Thanks, y'all. That's the signal to come back to your seats, please. Get ready to start again. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, you have 1 minute to please take your seats so we can get back on schedule. We've got 8 awesome companies coming up. So 1 minute to get back to your seats, please. Thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. We are getting ready with your next company. Guys in the middle, please take your seats. Thank you. Awesome, thank you. Alrighty, next up we have Mohammed with Kintrans.
The voice was low. As you were able to understand me right now, point of sales and service representative will be able to understand their deaf customers too. Traditionally, in order to be able to communicate with a deaf person, you will either need a human interpreter, which they are not available all the time, or you will need texting, or you will use pen and paper, which is not effective nor easy to be used in a complex tongue conversation. That's why we are introducing today Kintrans, to eliminate this communication barrier by translating sign language into voice and voice back into sign language automatically. Kintrans is currently in the banks being used at the tellers and the customer service counters, allowing the banks to have a better experience and better communication experience to their deaf customers inside the banks. We are targeting businesses with hundreds or thousands of brick and mortar locations that have a complex multi-step transactions and high customer lifetime value through our annual license per camera per sign language for our system. With Kintrans, the 316 million deaf person around the world will never be or will never suffer again while they are trying to communicate with anyone. Kintrans, hands control. Thank you.
Judges?
We have customers in the banking industry right now, so they are using Kintrans on the teller counter, not with the tripod, they just put it on the counter. So when the deaf person walk in and he want to deposit a check, he want to open a new account, he have a problem in his bank statement, he can communicate through the system. And when the teller replies back, the voice recognition system grabs his voice and turning it into text and sign language too for the deaf person. This is one of the customers. The other customers are federal and governmental entities that's in the Middle East, and pipeline here for the United States for CAP, the accommodation program for the federal government. So we have a $1,000 annual license per camera per sign language because we can translate more than one sign language simultaneously. It's an annual license, so the bank, for one branch, they can use on average 2 licenses, depending on how big the bank is.
Awesome. Thanks, Mohammed. Thanks. Good job.
Thank you.
Alrighty, next we have Eric with IDEGO.
At any given time, from 2005 to 2016, over 290,000 military service members were diagnosed with a mental health disorder. My name is Eric Johnson. I'm an occupational therapist and one of the co-founders of IDEGO. Our goal is to provide generationally specific and relevant therapeutic options for not only service members, but any population that can benefit from our therapies. We're using virtual and augmented reality to leverage technology and break down the barriers that is seeking mental health care. Having been in the Army for the last 20 years, I use a lot of that time to incorporate technology into my therapeutic practices, including clinical application of VR and AR for wounded service members. Our association, our company, is owned by veterans. It's owned by women and owned by minorities, which gives us a unique opportunity to reach a broad community, both here in the United States and internationally. Our initial focus is going to be on confronting fears and phobias. We will be rolling out all of these therapies initially on mobile devices, but eventually will be available on PCs, mobile, and any device that you can put your hands on. Will be.
Last comment.
We're hoping that with these therapies and services, we can democratize healthcare, mental health care, and empower people to begin within. Thank you.
Thanks, Eric. Judges?
Yes, the product is that's what I tripped up on. But the product is it's a virtual reality app that essentially will tackle any phobias or fears. Right now we have a working fear of heights app that will be released this month on Android and later in the year on iOS devices. And we'll get into PTSDs and anxieties and all that stuff as well.
One last question?
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Eric. Alrighty, next up we're going to have Quentin with Ranch Hand.
Maine has lobster. Maryland has crab. What does Texas have? We obviously have meat. What's the problem? All too often, Texas meat is presented in a very unhealthy way. Brisket, barbecue, Tex-Mex. Now, it doesn't have to be this way. Ranch Hand flips the script and showcases Texas proteins in a healthy, nutritious way that, quite frankly, has never been done before. Now, what is Ranch Hand? We're a quick service restaurant concept launching next month on UT's campus. It's the ideal environment within which to provide a proof of concept. Why? Well, what's for lunch at UT? You've got Wendy's, Chick-fil-A, Taco Cabana. Talk to any of the 50,000 students walking around on Speedway, and I guarantee you they'll tell you that they're fed up with the food options. I'm one of them. Now, the answer to that problem is Ranch Hand. I'm excited to share with you some of our momentum. We did our MVP a few months back, and we achieved $2,000 in sales over the course of 12 days to a limited subset of MBA students. We've also placed in the top places of business pitch competitions. Josh, good to see you again, in Texas Shark Tank as well as TVL. Last and most importantly, we've signed our first term sheet with some local investors that allowed us to offset the capital expenditure of the truck. That's going to be operational by next month. Now, what are we doing here competing in Challenge Cup? It's for the money, obviously, but much more important, for the mentorship. As we scale up and out, we're seeking mentors to help us really develop the brand as well as incorporate tech into the concept. We're seeking to be in brick and mortars in major college areas as well as urban areas. These are both markets that heavily feature our target demographic. Ranch Hand began as a simple idea. You should feel good about what you eat, but more importantly, what you eat should make you feel good. No more post-meal guilt. No more lunch coma. No more fast food. It shouldn't be difficult to find a meal that's both great and great for you. Ranch Hand, stop eating shit for lunch. Thank you very much.
Judges? I think you should also show them the back of your shirt, though, personally.
Are you a restaurant, or you have an offering for restaurants that relates to a certain type of meat, the way it's prepared, or something?
So it's both. We are a restaurant concept. It's a fundamental QSR concept. The embodiment of the QSR concept is Chipotle, Sweetgreen, Cava. It's a really growing industry right now, especially for millennials. And so that's why colleges are our target markets, as well as urban areas, residential areas, areas that have a high density of gyms.
One more question? Gotcha. Awesome. Thanks, Clinton.
Thank you very much.
Alrighty, next up we have Daniel with Comply.
Business travel is a company's second largest controllable expense. In the SME market, which is worth about $90 billion in the US alone, this is out on up to 28% of the savings that the big companies are able to get. This is because of two reasons. One, they don't have any good affordable tools to allow them to enforce travel policy, and two, they just don't spend enough to allow them to negotiate with the suppliers for better rates. But even if you work for a big company, travelers like you and I prefer to book on consumer sites. I like to book on Marriott, Josh likes to book and do comparison shopping on Expedia, and Abby likes to sleep on the couch in an Airbnb. That's up to her. But all of these factors combined means that 70% of US business travel is booked in the dark. CFOs around the country have no idea how much is spent until after the fact, weeks if not months later when the expense report is submitted. Comply has a business travel browser extension that actually outlines in green on any of these sites showing the traveler what they should or shouldn't book. When they overspend, it alerts the CFO in real time, and the traveler can justify and say exactly why they're spending more than they should. While we're in a closed beta at the moment, and while we're initially targeting these companies directly, we already have LOIs with channel partners in the HR and financial services space. We're already working with this sort of size company. If you look at ADP, for example, of their offering, about 30% is made up of third-party bolt-on services. That could be us. So Comply basically lets travelers book on their favorite sites while following the rules that they should. And I look forward to getting through to the next round when we can tell you how our product allows us to offer all these tools for free while our competitors have to charge from day one.
Good job. Judges?
No, we're We're an overlay on top of consumer sites. So you go to, United or Delta, and we show you what to book based on your travel policy. If you try and book anything that's more expensive, we then trigger an alert that says, hey, you're spending more than you're allowed to. You can pick from a drop down and say, this is the only flight that gets me in before 7, and that all goes through Slack or email and tells your team why you're overspending. So that what happens now is like, you can't do anything. You can only punish someone who spends more, whereas you typically have 24 hours to correct a bad booking. So for the SME market, we're basically allowing them to save huge amounts of money by being proactive and real time in this kind of interaction.
Awesome. Thanks, Daniel.
Thanks.
Alrighty, next up we have Jeffrey with Well Beyond Care.
Performing next week somewhere else, that's right. There's a silver tsunami happening in this country. 65,000 people are retiring every day. And they're also living longer. So that means sometime in their life they're going to need care. And there's a problem with that. The kids that they bore don't live anywhere near. So what do? They turn to private duty. So what's private duty? You take money out of my pocket and I pay somebody else, right? How big is it? $120 billion in the United States today. End of the decade is going to be $200 billion. But before I tell you I'm going to dominate that industry, I want to tell you a little story. I was estranged from my family for 21 years. And my brother died. So I found out I had to take care of my mom, who was living in Alexandria, and I'm here in Austin, and take care of my own family. First thing I had to do, bury my brother. Second thing I had to do was get a private duty agency. It was a disaster. My mother ended up in the hospital. So I moved her down here with me, hired another private duty agency. Problem with that is I found out that the caregiver was making 1/3 of the price of being charged. At that moment, I told my mom, we got to make a better way, and I made a promise to her that I'd start this business, and I did. So, with that, who benefits? For that, I'm not a healthcare guy, so I had to find something that was really good. So I got a partner, Lauren Tarrant, who has 30 years of home health, hospice, and geriatric nursing experience. So what we created was an online system application that allows families to hire their own caregivers, and in the process, save between $10,000 and $30,000. Same time, caregivers make more money. So in the next thing you do, those are the ones that are benefits. So where have we gotten the traction? We launched 2 weeks ago. We have 200 care givers in our system, 12 care seekers. We're in 5 states and in 11 metropolitan areas. And before I end, I'm not going to tell you we're going to be a $100 million company or a $1 billion company. We're going to be the Craigslist or the Amazon of caregiving. What I'm going to tell you, if you need care for your mom or dad, or your husband or wife, or your son or daughter, go to wellbeyondcare.com and sign up for free. You're welcome.
Thanks, Jeffrey. Any questions?
I assume you make money off the transaction.
Yeah, we take hourly fee, small hourly fee. So, to your answer, we're doing $3. On average, families paying between $8 and $15 an hour over what they're paying the caregiver just in the private duty agency. So it's a small fee.
Is this a regulated industry?
No, not from us. No, it is if you're a private duty agency. It is. Most states have it. Like 37 states, it's regulated.
So a lot of people tend to book like knowledge of the space, like they'll book a day here, day there, or whatever. Like, how do you manage the churn, or like are people gonna?
No, this is the AT&T model. You sell once and bill often. People are on for 6 months to 6 to 10 years until their death. If you do it right, they need care the rest of their life.
Okay, so this is for people specifically who need it like all the time.
Yes, it's not care.com. It is not care.com. Elderly care is a messy business. It's not like Uber or all these other things people talk about.
Great job. Thanks. Ready, Jones? All right, next up we have Jesse with BidView.
Growing up, I witnessed my dad's construction company stay afloat. Eventually, my dad lost his business due to spending too much time and money doing construction bids that eventually made him broke. In 2004, I was injured by a roadside bomb in Iraq. During this time, the government was struggling to contract companies. What this ended up doing was it delayed the process for us to get our materials that we needed to stay alive out there. This affected me personally. With the lack of up armor that was out there in Iraq, I ended up losing my arm. I'm Jesse Longoria, the co-founder of BidView. BidView understands that small businesses struggle working with the government. We also understand that the government struggles seeking small businesses. This is the birth of BidView. We saw this was a problem and we took it personally. BidView created a platform that bridges the gap for these small businesses who want to compete for government contracts with our mobile technology. Our mobile technology helps small businesses find these government contracts, not just at the federal, but state and local government. BidView's mission is to connect government buyers worldwide and to link them up with these small businesses. So far, BidView's free app is reaching 600 users. We've also created a web app 4 months ago and have sold 120 of our subscription services 1-year licenses. 100 of those services was sold to the Department of Defense to resell to small businesses who is ultimately our customer. Thank you.
Judges?
More than a listing of open bids, just how match-based the institution, or what is?
Yes, sir. So we're scraping all opportunities at the federal and state level, and we are going to be matching them with the companies and also be linking them up with consultants so they can actually not just see the bids and opportunities, but actually send in their actual proposals.
Judges, any other questions? Thanks, Jesse.
Thank you.
Alrighty. Next up, we're going to have Shane with Anatomotion.
So I'm Shane Mott. I'm a local dentist and founder of Anatomotion. Dentistry is a great profession, but I'm absolutely haunted by obstructive sleep apnea. It's a condition where the airway closes off during sleep. Our beloved Princess Leia, NFL star Reggie White, and even my greatest influence, my own grandfather, were all ushered out by sleep apnea. The hottest growth sector in dentistry is sleep medicine, yet only 10% of patients with sleep apnea get treated with a mouthpiece. The most common treatment for sleep apnea is the Darth Vader-like CPAP breathing machine, but 40% of those prescribed CPAP don't use it, just like Supreme Court Justice Scalia, whose CPAP sat unused on his nightstand when he died. However, 95% of those prescribed a mouthpiece use it. Why are so many patients getting prescribed a CPAP and not a mouthpiece? The problem is we cannot see the teeth in a sleep study, and we don't know where the right bite position is. At Anatomotion, we are revolutionizing dentistry away from trial and error, goopy impressions, and stone models of the teeth. We're transforming dentistry with Anatomotion. We make wireless motion sensors that attach to teeth and software to see the teeth during a sleep study. A 3D movie of the teeth can be saved and shared and 3D printed from. Patients get faster, more accurate treatment with Anatomotion sensors and software. We believe our market potential is greater than $1 billion. According to the American Academy of Sleep Medicine, over 80% of those with sleep apnea are untreated, resulting in a $150 billion economic burden from heart attacks, stroke, and accidents due to tiredness, all from sleep apnea. Our team combines experts in dentistry, hardware and software, medical device sales, and regulatory experience. We have surveyed dentists online and at conferences and concluded that Anatomotion will have a profound impact on the future of dentistry. and sleep apnea. We're raising $2.5 million and are here finding the right relationships to help us build this future in dentistry. You can find us on Anatomotion. Thank you.
Judges?
How far along are you on product development, and where might you be in November when this scope
Well, we've got about 9 months of this phase 1 product development with FDA design controls to do. So basically everything that we've done thus far has pretty much been a hack together to make sure that the technology would work, because it was a pretty complicated thing to figure out. And now that we know it's all working, we're going back in and doing everything under design controls. So from right now, we're 9 months out from being through this first phase, and then we have about a 3 to 4 month of verification and validation studies with FDA to get to Class 1. We have 2 different devices, a Class 1 device specifically for jaw tracking, and then a Class 2 medical device for sleep apnea treatment. So we're about a year out from being able to go to market.
Great job.
Thank you.
Alrighty. Ready, last but certainly not least, we have Zaid from Maker Arm.
In 2017, companies will spend over $50 billion on fabrication equipment. Today, the cost of a small fabrication lab is over $50,000. That's why we built Maker Arm, your factory on a desktop. At under $5,000, Maker Arm is a smart robot that can help you fabricate or automate just about anything. With 15 quick change tool heads, Maker Arm allows applications such as electronics assembly, 3D printing, laser cutting, and CNC milling. And we've done amazing things like build custom laptops with only Maker Arm. But the true value of our product lies in our artificial intelligence-powered cognitive platform that can bring unparalleled intelligence to businesses big and small. 2 or more Maker Arms can collaborate on a project, and you can even build a low-cost assembly line using Maker Arms. We're helping an oil and gas manufacturer cut part replacement costs down from tens of thousands to hundreds of dollars. We're nearing $1 million in revenue, and customers include universities, medical labs, factories, businesses, and the R&D departments of giants like HP, 3M, and Bosch. And our customers are coming back for repeat purchases of additional Maker Arm units, cognitive tool heads, consumables like filament and resin, accessories like our vision system, and software upgrades. We're a small team, but we have the world's leading minds in cognitive robotics and artificial intelligence, and a wealth of expertise in manufacturing. We hope to democratize automation and fabrication and usher in a new era of innovation and creativity worldwide. Thank you.
So this isn't simply a 3D printer?
Not at all. My favorite question, and while we've been called a 3D printer on steroids by a magazine, Maker Arm has 15 different applications. Currently, CNC milling is the most popular. We have laser cutting, fluid dispensation, soldering, vinyl cutting, and so on and so forth. But the real power is in the automation capabilities and the ability of our software and our platform to really adapt to the customer's needs. So yes, far more than a 3D printer. But I'll add to that and say that within 3D printing, we have really set ourselves apart with the largest workspace in a commercial 3D, in a consumer 3D printer. The ability to auto level, so people don't have to calibrate their print beds, and the ability to print with both filament and resin. So in 3D printing and in all of our other applications, we really set ourselves apart.
Great job. Thanks. All Alrighty, that was our last company presenting. So we are going to ask the judges to go to the Mobility X classroom to deliberate for about 10 to 15 minutes. And everyone else, you're going to want to stick around to hear the exciting announcement of the winner. About 10 to 15 minutes. Feel free to grab some more chips, grab a drink, or go to the restroom in the meantime. We'll see you in 10 to 15 minutes. Now, before we announce the winner, we want to announce and thank our wonderful judges who volunteered their time to be here with us today. Let's give a round of applause for the judges. So I'm going to let them introduce themselves really quickly. First up, we have my former professor, Brett Cornwell.
Howdy, my name is Brett Cornwell. I manage all technology commercialization for Texas A&M University System. Thank Jesus. I also teach at the University of Texas here in Austin. And I got an undergraduate at Baylor. I got the whole Central Texas Triangle covered. And so I'm really happy to be here. Haley, appreciate the invitation and great presentations, very interesting companies. Great seeing all you.
As most of you heard from me at the beginning, but if you came in a little bit later, my name is Gordon Doherty. I'm one of the managing directors here at Capital Factory.
Hi, I'm Sarah Spear. I'm the program manager here for the Techstars program in Austin. We're looking for companies right now. Come talk to me.
I'm Josh Kerr, serial entrepreneur, partner at Capital Factory, currently entrepreneur in residence, and
Awesome. So a couple last things before the big announcement. So here at Capital Factory, it is Women's Month. Our mission this month is to empower more women in tech. Yeah, give it up for the ladies. So what that means is that in our many events that go on here every day, we are featuring a woman speaker at each event, and we are actually capping off Women's Month with our first annual Women in Tech Summit on Wednesday, August 23rd. So if you are a woman in tech, a woman entrepreneur in tech, or an investor who supports them, we definitely encourage you to please come out. That's Wednesday, August 23rd, Capital Factory's first annual Women in Tech Summit. So without further ado, can I get a drum roll, please? Drum roll. So the winner of the 2017 Challenge Cup for the Austin Regional is Kintrans. Can you say any words?
Yeah, I'm just confused. Would you like me to do sign language? Everyone will love it. So, yeah. Thanks for supporting Kintrans and supporting the deaf people to make their life better and to make them reach their potential. They are totally capable like any one of us. They just use a different methodology of communicating, and we are here to make the different way that they are communicating easier as it had never before. Thank you.
All right, thanks everybody. Mohammed, represent us well in November in New York City. Good luck. Okay. Thanks everybody for coming out. Stick around, grab some drinks, and mix and mingle. Enjoy having you.